Kim's Homestead, and I'm talking to you from Victoria, and it's a glorious sunny day. I wish I was talking to you out in the garden today, but I do have 10 pounds of potatoes to preserve. So that's what I'm going to bring to you today, how I preserve 10 pounds of potatoes. So if you like any of my videos, I would really appreciate a thumbs up. That would be fantastic. It helps my channel out really a lot. And if you like what I do, please subscribe. Doesn't cost anything, and also it would really help me out. So how do I preserve 10 kilos of potatoes? It's a lot of work. That's how. Well, I have all my jars all cleaned up, washed and ready to go into the canner. I have a couple of large pots here of peeled potatoes. I do like to peel my potatoes. I've got them done in two ways. The first way is with wedges, and that way I can either have them in a casserole, or I can take them out, fry them up and have them baked or fried, or also in chip form. Now I will be adding a few things to jars. Some I will just leave plain so that I can have just mashed potatoes. Others I'll be putting herbs such as chives, onions, that sort of thing in them. You got to be very careful what herbs that you put into the jars, because they do tend to concentrate, and some of them can actually turn quite bitter. So be careful what you're putting in your jars. But today, some I'm going to put into chicken stock, and that way I can have chicken flavoured potatoes for casseroles, stews, anything like that. Or I can actually roast them and have chicken potatoes, maybe with a roast chook or something like that. Really nice. Some I'll be doing in beef, same thing. Now what I use is the Bliicccckk real beef stock. Now another way, which I really haven't seen done before, but I really like the chips and roast potatoes done this way, and that is salt and vinegar potatoes. So I'm going to add a reasonable amount of salt, for me anyway, into each jar with water and vinegar. Now I'm going to be using malt vinegar for this, and when you take them out and you fry them up or bake them or whatever, it's really, really nice. Such a beautiful flavour. If you like salt and vinegar anything, I do. So it's one of my favourite ways to do it, but to cook it on the stove like that takes quite considerable amount of time. So as I'm going to be jarring up all these potatoes, I thought, well, what the H? Just put them in a jar like that, and when I want some or feel like it, I can just pull it out and we're done. Now other ones I will be adding onion to, so that I'll have ready makings for mashed potatoes and onions. That's one of my favourite ways of having mashed potatoes. Some of them I will put chives in as well, so you'll have mashed potatoes, onion and chives. Just all different ways of doing it, and some of them I will have plain. I don't use too many plain ones. I don't particularly like them just plain. So, but I will be having some plain ones for occasions when you really don't want too many flavourings because you've got something else in mind for the potatoes. So that's what I'll be doing today, and I'm going to bring you all along with me so that you can see how I do it. I will be using my pressure canner. I have a 23 quart Presto pressure canner, which I just do on my stovetop here. And that's what I'm going to do. But first of all, I've got a large pot of water on the stove, which is nearly at a boil. So I need to blanch my potatoes first. So I'll just reposition the camera and show you what I'm doing. Okay, the timer's gone off. Always lift the lid away from you. I'll just turn the light back on. So the potatoes are now blanched. You only want them blanched, not cooked. So these have been in the hot boiling water for 2 minutes. So now I'll take them all out and I'll put them in cold water and let it run for a few minutes so that they're not sitting in warm water and cool down. Right, I do have another pot full to go in. And being very careful. These ones are actually the chips. So when they come up to a boil, these ones will actually only boil for 1 minute. So these ones here, I'll now run under cold water. Okay guys, we have my granddaughter here to help me today. A little bit of helping hand, which is a blessing.
Yay.
Righto, you can finish putting the stock into the jars.
That's your mum, that.
here's my timer. So it's 10 minutes. And now I just put on the weight. And when that starts to jiggle, it's come up to 10 pounds of pressure for my area. And then I will turn it down to a medium heat and let it go for 35 minutes for the size jars that I have. And there is our weight jiggling. That means it's now come up to 10 pounds of pressure for my area. And I've put my timer on for 35 minutes for the size jars that I've put in there. Always check your canner's manufacturing instructions on times, pressure levels, and the amount of time that you pressure can your goods for. So I will bring you back in 35 minutes when it's time to pull them out of the canner. Actually, they'll sit in there for probably an hour or so because the pressure canner will have to come down to 0 pressure by itself. But anyway, I'll see you at the next step. Timer, folks. It's been 35 minutes. Now time to turn the canner off. So all I do is turn it off at the power point. I do not touch the canner. I do not take off the little toggle. I do not take off the lid. You do not immerse it in cold water. This part here is part of the canning process. It will cool down by itself. So you do not remove the weight, you do not remove the lid until it has cooled down enough so that you can touch the canner safely without being burnt. When you can touch it, then you may remove the weighted gauge. After that, wait 10 minutes. Then you may remove the lid, remove it away from you so the steam goes away from you, not towards you. Leave it in there for another 5 minutes. Then you may remove the jars from the canner. Anything other than that, and you may get siphoning, and that is where the liquid will push out of the jars, and you may get food debris between the lid and the jar, and you will not get a seal or a proper seal. So as you can see, the weighted gauge is slowing down and it will stop. When it stops and the canner cools down slightly, this little gauge here will pop down. Then it will release more steam and you can take off the weighted gauge. After that, wait until you can touch it before removing the lid. It will still be very, very, very hot inside. So I will bring you back when it's time to remove the jars. So here we go. The top has, well, the whole thing has come down to pressure and it's still very hot, but I can touch it just. The top has been removed and the lid has been open about 8 minutes roughly. So now I'll remove the jars. Now when you remove them, always put them on a piece of like a tea towel, a mat you may have specially made, or even a wooden chopping board. Never put them on a cold surface, otherwise you will get your jars cracking. And at the moment, jars are really hard to come by, so you don't want them cracking. I usually try and leave a little bit of distance between the jars, and that will help them cool a little bit better. And there we go. And I have 11 beautiful jars of potato, and I have, let's see, potato in chicken broth, potato in beef broth, and earlier I did some potato in salt and vinegar so that I could make salt and vinegar roasted potatoes, salt and vinegar chips. And I've got about another round to go tomorrow, and that will conclude the 10 pounds of potatoes. So it's been a long 2 days actually at the moment, and a third one coming up tomorrow. But it's going to be well worth it to have this on the pantry shelves, ready to eat any time that you want. To me, this is fast food. Now, normally it doesn't take that long to do a good canning session, but I do have other things that I've had to do. And the reason you're looking at my foot at the moment is because I've had quite a serious infection that I've been dealing with for some time. As you can see, it's all swelled up, and it's incredibly painful at the moment. So I finally stopped being obstinate, I suppose, or pig-headed, and I went to the doctors and finally got some antibiotics. So hopefully this will work, and hopefully I will have the infection cleared up in a matter of a couple of weeks. So, but anyway, when I'm no longer dealing with this, I'll get back into doing some other things and bringing you along with me. Okay, well, that's it for now, guys. I will catch you again soon. Take care. Bye for now. Well, g'day. It's been a very, very busy few days. Probably one of the last big canning projects that I'll be doing for a while. It's taken an awful lot out of me. But anyway, I thought bits and pieces from now on, just bits and pieces. Anyway, so what did I get out of 10 kilos of potatoes? Well, as you see, I actually jarred up 29 jars of potatoes in different forms. I've got potatoes done in salt and vinegar. I've got large roasting potatoes and chips. I've got potatoes done in chicken broth, and I thought that'd be really, really nice for when I have roast chicken or some sort of chicken meal. I can roast up the potatoes, like crisp them up really nice, and they'll have that chicken flavour through them, and the water I can turn into a beautiful chicken gravy. Then I have the same in beef, and I also have some potatoes and onions for when I want potato and onion mash. I had thought about doing a few others, but to be honest, I just couldn't be bothered. Now the canner was almost full, and it was just a couple of jars shy of being full, so I put in 2 jars of Swedes, because I had some Swedes that were going just a little soft in the fridge, so I thought, well, I may as well jar them up. And unfortunately, one of the jars must have had a fine little crack in the bottom of it, and I lost it. So it happens. It's not very often. I think I've only lost one other jar. And this one's one of my good balls too. So I've not only lost a good jar, but all the contents inside it as well. Never mind. It happens. But I do have another jar of Swedes already prepared, and that will go in the pantry for when I want mashed potatoes and Swedes. That will be nice. So they've all been washed and wiped down. They're now ready for making some room in the pantry, and these will be really, really nice over next winter, so I won't have to worry about buying potatoes if I run out, because I'll have them already there on the shelf, and when I want to go to meal I can just grab a few jars of something, throw it all together, and I've got enough food there for 3 or 4 days in one meal, which is really good. So how many did I end up with? Well, I ended up with, I jarred up 31 jars altogether. So I now have 30 jars of varying sizes to put into the pantry. I think that's a pretty good haul. I'm very pleased with it. And yeah, so what now? Well, in a couple of days' time we have some rain predicted to come over, about 4 or 5 days rain, and I'm going to be more or less kept inside. I'm not an inside girl, as you probably know. So what am I going to be doing? Well, I just picked a harvest of what I had ready to go in the broccoli stems, and peas. So this is about half full of peas, and this should keep me going for a while. I'll shell them all out, blanch them, and put them in the freezer. Peas I might actually can. I don't mind canned peas. I don't care if they're mushy or not. So I might actually can the peas and leave some room in the freezer. But the broccoli, that will be blanched and put in the freezer for other meals. And the stems I will dehydrate and powder up to use in cream of broccoli soup and things like that. That'll be really nice. Also as a thickener for soups and stews and things like casseroles, things like that. Alright, well, this is going to be the end of this video on what I do with 10 kilos of potatoes. So I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed the little visit that my granddaughter made. It was fun teaching her how to can. Might not have looked like it, but I had a good time, and I think she had a good time too. And I really appreciated her help. So thank you, darling. If you're watching this video, thank you so much for your help. It was absolutely wonderful, and something I hope you will look back on for many, many years to come. I know I will. So, if you've enjoyed this video, please press the like button, and if you're not subscribed, I would appreciate you subscribing, and you can see what's coming up next. Alright, well, thank you very much, guys, and here's where I say bye for now. Bye-bye. Oh God, I'm getting too old for this.